Imagine being declared clinically dead, only to return to life with a story that challenges everything we think we know about existence. This is the extraordinary case of Olivia Harper, a woman whose experience defied medical understanding and brought hope and inspiration to all who heard it. After being pronounced dead for 10 minutes, Olivia returned with a message that left doctors, her family, and everyone around her in awe. What happened during those crucial minutes, and what did she bring back from the other side? Join us as we explore this remarkable journey. Olivia Harper was known as a devoted mother and a compassionate soul with unwavering faith and a deep commitment to her family and community. She had always been a source of strength and kindness, facing life's challenges with quiet resilience. But in August 2019, an ordinary day turned into a life-altering event that would forever change the course of her life and those around her. Olivia had been going about her day in her Michigan home when she suddenly began to feel unwell. What started as mild discomfort quickly escalated into excruciating chest pain and difficulty breathing. Alarmed, her daughter Emma immediately called for help. Paramedics arrived within minutes and rushed Olivia to the nearest hospital. Her family followed in anguish, praying for her recovery. At the hospital, a dedicated team of doctors and nurses fought to save Olivia. She had suffered a severe heart attack, and her heart was struggling to function. They used every available measure: defibrillation, chest compressions, and advanced medications, but her condition only worsened. Despite their best efforts, Olivia's heart gave out completely. The room filled with the frantic beeping of monitors and the tense voices of the medical team as they worked tirelessly to bring her back. However, her heart refused to restart. Olivia was placed on life support, but repeated attempts to revive her were unsuccessful. Eventually, after exhausting all options, the doctors delivered the devastating news. Olivia's heart had stopped for too long, and her brain had been deprived of oxygen. The damage was deemed irreversible, and further tests confirmed the absence of brain activity. The staff had no choice but to declare Olivia clinically dead. Her family was inconsolable. Olivia's son, Daniel, was especially devastated. His mother had been his anchor and source of wisdom, and the thought of losing her left him broken. Friends and family gathered to say their goodbyes, each overwhelmed by grief. Olivia's youngest grandchild, too young to comprehend the gravity of the moment, innocently asked, "When will Grandma wake up?" As the minutes passed, Olivia's body remained still, awaiting arrangements. Her family stayed close, some holding her hand, others whispering prayers through their tears. Her best friend, Lily, placed a cherished Bible on the bedside table and quietly read scripture, hoping to offer solace. Then, something extraordinary happened. Daniel, who had been silently sitting at his mother's side, noticed the slightest movement. Olivia's hand twitched. He blinked, unsure if his exhausted mind was playing tricks on him, but then it happened again. He leaned closer, his voice trembling as he called out, "Mom, are you there?" Moments later, a nurse who had entered the room to finalize paperwork froze in disbelief. The monitor showed a faint, irregular pulse. The medical team rushed back in, their disbelief palpable. Olivia's heart had resumed beating, faintly but unmistakably. Further tests revealed faint signs of brain activity, something no one thought possible after such a long period without oxygen. Against all odds, Olivia's body was showing signs of life. As doctors worked to stabilize her, Olivia's family, torn between hope and fear, watched as her skin regained warmth and her breathing grew steadier. By morning, her condition had improved enough for the medical team to begin removing some of the life support measures. Olivia Harper, who had been clinically dead for 10 minutes, was alive. Her recovery defied every expectation. Despite the prolonged lack of oxygen, Olivia showed no signs of brain damage or cognitive impairment. When she finally opened her eyes, her family's relief turned to amazement as she softly began to speak. "I wasn't here," she said. "I was somewhere else." What Olivia shared next left everyone speechless. The medical team was summoned, their astonishment evident as they rushed into the room. Olivia's heart had begun to beat again, faintly but unmistakably. Further tests revealed faint signs of brain activity, something no one had expected after so many minutes without oxygen. Against all odds, Olivia was showing undeniable signs of life. As doctors worked to stabilize her, the family, overcome with a mixture of shock and hope, watched as Olivia Harper's skin regained warmth and her breathing became steadier. By morning, her condition had improved enough for some life support measures to be removed. Olivia, who had been clinically dead for 10 minutes, was alive. Her recovery defied all medical expectations. Despite the prolonged lack of oxygen, Olivia showed no signs of brain damage or cognitive impairment. When she opened her eyes, her family's relief turned to amazement as she began to speak. "I wasn't here," she said softly. "I was somewhere else." Olivia described an experience unlike anything she could have imagined. She spoke of a radiant light that enveloped her in love and peace, and of seeing the familiar faces of loved ones who had passed away. "They told me it wasn't my time," she said, her voice steady yet emotional. "I felt their love and encouragement, but I knew I had to come back." Her story left everyone speechless. Doctors and nurses, unable to explain her revival, described it as nothing short of miraculous. Her family, once paralyzed by grief, now clung to her every word, finding hope and inspiration in her account. Olivia's experience transformed her life. She emphasized the importance of forgiveness, love, and faith, urging her loved ones to cherish every moment. "Life is fragile," she told her son Daniel. "Don't waste it on fear or anger. Love is what truly matters." Her story spread quickly, touching hearts and encouraging people to reflect on the mysteries of life and death. Olivia felt an overwhelming sense of purpose in her second chance, dedicating herself to sharing her message of hope. She spoke at churches, participated in discussions about near-death experiences, and offered comfort to others coping with loss or illness. "I don't know why I was brought back," Olivia often said, "but I'm certain I have a mission: to remind people of the power of love and the beauty of life." Her journey from death to life wasn't just a miracle, it was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the boundless power of hope. The pain of losing Olivia had been immense, almost unbearable, and had tested the faith of those who loved her. In those moments, faith served as both a source of strength and a profound challenge. How could such a devastating loss happen to someone so filled with kindness and grace? Even the medical staff, who had fought tirelessly to save her, bore the heavy burden of knowing they had reached the limits of modern medicine, only for the unthinkable to occur. Doctors and nurses gathered around Olivia's son, Daniel, and the rest of the family to explain her condition. They carefully described the efforts made to revive her, detailing the extent of her injuries with clinical clarity. Phrases like irreversible brain damage and no chance of recovery were spoken gently, but to her devastated family, these words felt distant and unthinkable. No explanation could soften the piercing pain of such an overwhelming loss. As time passed, the devastating reality of Olivia's death began to settle over them. Unthinkable decisions had to be faced, a cruel burden that weighed heavily on Daniel, who struggled to comprehend how his loving, vibrant mother could suddenly be reduced to a series of cold, practical considerations. When would her body need to be transported? How should the funeral be planned? Each choice felt like reopening a wound, a heartbreaking reminder of her absence. Even amidst their sorrow, the family held tightly to the cherished memories of Olivia's remarkable life. They recounted stories of her warmth, her infectious laughter, and the way she had an extraordinary ability to illuminate any space she entered. They spoke of her unwavering strength through hardships, her steadfast devotion to her church, and her tireless commitment to helping her community. These shared memories brought moments of bittersweet smiles to tear-streaked faces, a glimmer of light in the overwhelming darkness of grief. One of the most poignant moments came when Olivia's youngest grandchild, still too young to fully understand the weight of the situation, innocently asked, "When is Grandma waking up?" The question shattered the fragile silence, triggering another wave of tears from everyone present. For the family, the only answer they could bear to accept was crushing. Never, or so they believed. Daniel, engulfed by an immense sense of loss, found himself wrestling with questions he could not resolve. Why had his mother, his unshakable source of guidance and love, been taken so abruptly? How could someone so full of life be gone without warning? In his desperation, he turned to prayer, pleading for answers, for clarity, for a sign, anything to help ease his anguish. Despite the hopelessness his rational mind told him to accept, a small flicker of hope remained alive in his heart, refusing to be extinguished. The news of Olivia Harper's condition spread quickly through the hospital, and her room soon became a gathering place for astonished medical staff and her tearful family. Daniel held tightly to his mother's hand, his emotions a stormy mix of fear and fragile hope. "Mom, can you hear me?" he asked softly, his voice trembling with uncertainty. Her eyes remained closed, her face unmoving, but there was an unmistakable feeling in the air that something extraordinary was taking place. The medical team worked with urgency to stabilize Olivia, though even they were unable to fully comprehend the magnitude of what they were witnessing. By every medical standard, she had been clinically dead for 10 minutes. Her body had shown no signs of life during that time. And yet, there she was, defying all expectations, her body gradually regaining strength. Olivia's story, however, was far from over. It was only just beginning. Although Olivia's brain activity was faint, the signs of life were undeniable. It was as if her body had been caught in a suspended state, waiting for just the right moment to reawaken. Gradually, her condition began to improve. Her pulse grew stronger, her breathing steadied, and by the following morning, she was stable enough for the medical team to start reducing the supportive interventions. Against all odds and medical predictions, Olivia was alive. Her family, who had been engulfed in despair only hours earlier, now found themselves overwhelmed with a mixture of gratitude and disbelief. One doctor, visibly moved by what had transpired, pulled Daniel aside. "I've been practicing medicine for decades," he admitted, his voice filled with awe. "I've never seen anything like this. There's no scientific explanation for what just happened. This is a miracle." As Olivia's strength slowly returned, questions began to surface. What had occurred during those critical 10 minutes? Had her soul truly left her body and come back? Or was this an event that defied science in ways no one could fully grasp? These unanswered mysteries weighed heavily on everyone who had witnessed her revival, leaving them awed and reflective. For now, though, her family clung to one undeniable reality. Olivia was alive. Her recovery challenged the limits of life and death, shattering their understanding of mortality. It was a moment they would never forget, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the enigmatic nature of existence. But Olivia's story was far from over. The most astonishing part was still to come. When she finally opened her eyes, her words left everyone speechless. The miracle of Olivia's survival had already amazed her family, friends, and the medical professionals who had pronounced her clinically dead for 10 minutes. During that time, she had no pulse, no brain activity, and no detectable signs of life. And yet, against all expectations, she was alive. As her vital signs strengthened, her family dared to hope she might wake up and recognize them. Still, the doctors cautioned that the prolonged lack of oxygen could have caused irreversible damage. What no one could have imagined was the extraordinary revelation Olivia would share once she regained consciousness. It started with subtle signs, a gentle flutter of her eyelids, a slight deepening of her breaths, and the faintest movement of her fingers against Daniel's hand, where he had remained by her side. Daniel leaned in close, tears streaking his face, and softly said, "Mom, it's me. It's Daniel. Can you hear me?" Olivia's lips trembled faintly, as though trying to form words. Moments later, her eyes fully opened for the first time since the ordeal began. Initially unfocused, her gaze gradually sharpened as she scanned the room. When her eyes locked on Daniel, she gave a faint but unmistakable smile. The relief in that moment was beyond words. Daniel held her hand tightly, tears streaming as he said, "You're back. You're really back." The room quickly filled with medical staff eager to assess her condition. They asked her basic questions, her name, the year, where she was, and to everyone's amazement, Olivia answered each question correctly. Her voice was soft but clear, with no signs of confusion or the brain damage they had feared. It was as if she had awoken from a deep, restorative sleep, her mind sharp and intact. And yet, something about Olivia had changed profoundly. Her presence exuded a serene calmness. Her voice carried a peace that felt otherworldly. It was as though she had returned with a clarity and tranquility that went far beyond the physical realm. Yet, something about Olivia seemed profoundly different. Her demeanor was serene, her tone calm, almost otherworldly. It was as if she carried an unshakable peace that transcended her physical state. After the initial examinations, Olivia turned to her family and spoke words that sent chills through the room. "I wasn't here," she said softly. Though her voice was quiet, it carried a weight that silenced everyone present. Ethan leaned closer, his heart pounding. "What do you mean, Mom? Where were you?" Olivia Harper took a deep breath, searching for the words to describe the indescribable. "I was gone," she said simply. "I left my body. I could see everything, the doctors, the machines, you praying by my side. But I wasn't in pain. I wasn't afraid. I was free." Her family listened in stunned silence as she recounted her experience. She described a brilliant light, warm, welcoming, and unlike anything she had ever seen. "It wasn't blinding," she explained, "but it surrounded me, filling me with love and peace." There were no words spoken, but she felt an overwhelming connection to everything she had ever loved, every moment of joy she had ever experienced, all at once. "It was overwhelming," she said, her voice trembling, but in the best way. She spoke of seeing familiar presences, spirits of loved ones who had passed away. Though they did not speak, their presence was unmistakable. "They were waiting for me," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "I felt their love, their encouragement. It was as if they were telling me it wasn't my time yet." Olivia also spoke of a profound sense of purpose, a message she felt compelled to share. "I wasn't told," she clarified. "I felt it, a deep understanding that I needed to return. There's so much more for us to learn about love, forgiveness, and faith. We take so much for granted here, but it's all connected, Life, death, everything. It's all part of something far greater than we can imagine. Her words left everyone in the room speechless. The medical staff, many of whom had witnessed countless cases of cardiac arrest and death, were deeply moved. One nurse, visibly emotional, whispered, "I've heard stories about near-death experiences, but nothing like this. It's incredible." Ethan, still holding her hand, was overcome with a mix of awe and curiosity. "Mom," he asked, his voice trembling, "what does it mean? Why did you come back?" Olivia looked at him with calm determination. "I came back because there's more to do," she said. "More to share. I don't have all the answers, but I know this. Love is what matters. It's what connects us, what carries us forward. Everything else, fear, anger, regret, none of it matters in the end." Her message resonated deeply with everyone who heard it. Family members who had been paralyzed by grief now found themselves questioning their own understanding of life, death, and the afterlife. Olivia's experience wasn't just a source of comfort, it was a call to action, a reminder to focus on what truly matters. As news of Olivia's extraordinary journey spread, people began visiting her hospital room, drawn by a mix of curiosity and hope. She shared her story with calm certainty, offering words of love, faith, and healing to all who sought her out. Her words became a beacon of hope, touching lives and inspiring those who had lost their way to rediscover faith and purpose. Olivia's miraculous return was more than a medical anomaly. It was a testament to the mysteries of existence and the enduring power of love.